And welcome to another Warcraft the audio commentary. Today, guys, we are way behind. It's almost 2 a.m. my time. 2 a.m. in the morning. Who would have thought it? I've been running behind all day. I've been very busy. You wouldn't believe it. But things are whatever. Who knows? They're chilling out. I messed up on Friday and Saturday. I had a busy weekend. I really did have a busy weekend, but also I did a lot of relaxing during the day, and then I got a little bit busy at night, which was when I was hoping to do the cast. So I'm learning from my mistakes, and hopefully you guys are learning too. We had a cast on Sunday. I didn't upload it to YouTube, and the reason is because it's kind of a bad cast. It's actually there. I'm probably going to put it up anyway, but it's not very good games. I don't recommend watching them. Nonetheless, they'll be there in case you want to watch them, because they're already uploaded. Actually, I just got to put the description and stuff. Anyway, so let's go ahead and introduce our players. By the way, this is not some kind of professional game. It may be professional players. I have absolutely no idea, but it's not for a tournament or league to my knowledge. It's just for WC3 Arena ladder, so I don't know who these are. Let's just introduce them. On Secret Valley, spawning in the lower left, we have the red human. It is Blue. His name is Blue. He is the red human. Don't get that too confused, because in the upper right, we happen to have ourselves a light blue orc going by the name of Abrakadam. Yeah, Abrakadam. So I think it's supposed to be a lot like the magic name. He's going for a Blade Master first with a War Mill going down in his shop. This is likely to be a proto strategy. I have absolutely no idea anything whatsoever about this game going into it. I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be low skill. I don't know what it is, but it is Replayers of the Week at replayers.com, and we're seeing a War Mill and what looks very much like a proto strategy. If you don't know what a proto strategy is, it's a common strategy on ladders, because this is proto, where the orc goes for early watchtowers, and they kind of make it very difficult to assault their base. Generally, the solution usually is just to tower rush them very quickly. They can't beat it. They can't. It's very easy. That's how you beat it. But that's a spoiler, I suppose. I don't know what we're going to see. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, a human would just generally, I would assume, do a tier 2 sky push thing and shit end it. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I only know it from the undead versus orc perspective, and it's very difficult if you don't answer it correctly, and that's why it's so popular, because most people don't know. All you have to really do is tower push it very early, and you punish it, and then you tend to win. Because they have almost no early game presence, they have almost no early game anything, they just have a Blade Master that can regenerate a lot of life. Anyway, nonetheless, let's not talk about that too much. Let's focus on the fact that, okay, we're seeing this human player, he's going for a tech, he's creeping up right now. There is a Blade Master somewhere on this map. If we hit F11, we should be able to find him. There he is. And he's bought 2 circlets, he sold his TP, obviously he has 2 clarity. He has 2 clarities and a speed scroll. I don't know about his item choice here, but fair enough. He just popped a speed scroll for some reason. I don't know what that was about. That feels a bit wasteful, doesn't it really? But on the bright side, I will say I do like the 2 clarities. It's actually not a bad decision. You don't need to have multiple salves. This is a map with 2 healing fountains. Pretty much no matter where you go, you're going to be somewhat close to a healing fountain. The human player is saying, okay, well, it is proto. Let's see if we can do some early aggression. Maybe this is a little bit not an army well equipped unless he happens to have defend, in which case, well, this is quite equipped. He could easily take that out. But the only challenge you have if you have defend is the Blade Master coming in and chopping. But he is not in the greatest spot. He does have a Scroll of Beast, however, which is going to increase his damage by quite a significant amount. The human player currently should be doing something rather than just standing around. Either be creeping if you're, not to criticize, but one of the things you'll see a good player generally will do is always be creeping. He could easily have been creeping that green once he walked over into the orc player's base. He didn't really accomplish anything there. I'm not trying to criticize. This could be a professional player. He's very likely a good player, but just people tend to play weird versus proto because it's not something that a lot of people see. I don't know, unless they play ladder. So if he is a good player, then he's probably seen proto. What am I saying? I don't know. It's late night. It's just I'm having fun, and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I know enough about proto to tell you how to beat it though. I'm telling you, early aggression, get the tower pushes every time you win. Pretty much, I'm telling you. Yeah, I practiced versus proto forever. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't fun at all, but once you figure it out, it becomes easy. That being said, I don't actually know how it works with other races that are not undead, but I'm telling you, I bet it's early aggression if I had to bet. But I've kind of been sounding like a broken record right now, so let's see what is going on in this game. Well, the Blade Master somehow ended up on low HP once again. He does have a healing salve and a clarity popped. He is coming over here to the healing fountain. You're going to watch his health just it's going to fly up because he's healing salved and getting a health fountain regeneration, which is just an insane amount of HP regen very quickly. This is obviously a really good time for the human player to be just getting as much XP as possible. If you're not not doing early aggression, obviously, yeah, free creep. You just creep the map like crazy. Why not? He's got to defend at this point, so really he could easily have some very strong aggression coming out. Now he's putting up towers. I don't know why he's putting up towers. That makes no sense. He could really just be putting up, you know, an Arcane Sanctum, getting some priests and a Sork, and pushing with, you know, towers. That would be great. But he's not. He's creeping and putting up towers himself. Okay, fair enough. Maybe he's not played Proto. He doesn't know what he's versed, and he's not thinking very clearly or something. But again, I'm not trying to sound like a broken record here. The Blade Master was able to pick up a steal. He's also picked up level 2 from that, and now he's going to try to heal himself back up. Looks like he's got a nice potion of invulnerability, 15 seconds of invulnerability, quite a nice item. These footmen do happen to have defend, so they could easily come in here and do some damage, but without any kind of heal, the Blade Master is probably just going to chop them a good bit, because there will be a hero coming out here pretty soon. It looks like that's going to take quite a while as he just started building, but he can, you know, he can buy potions of healing, and he does still have death. So if he needs to distract these guys like he's doing right now, he's doing just fine. He can go invisible right here. There's no dust on this guy, so he's really doing just fine. And as you can see, you know, nothing. These are okay, but the problem is that you gotta be focusing on these things, and two, you know, you gotta have some kind of heal, and you need to slow the Blade Master's DPS down a bit. Frost Armor works pretty well, you know, slow the actual spell from Sorks works pretty well, all kinds of things. The human player is saying GG. I don't know why. I have absolutely no idea, but here comes the Mountain King just to wrangle this guy up. He's really not in any danger, though, because he's got the ability to just buy some salves and walk right over here. And even if he got really low and had to dodge a bolt, he happens to have a potion of lesser or greater, just a potion of invulnerability, rather. And so he's not in a bad spot. He's trying to get this shop repaired. The Shadow Hunter has actually made it out. Did he go Hex first? He should have, but he might not have. We'll see what he did. Healing Wave would be, I guess, a decent... No, it's a terrible choice. He should have went Hex first. If he has Hex first, then he can just, you know, Hex a Footman if he needs to, Hex a Water Elemental. Just Hex something if he needs to reduce damage onto that shop. If he needs to, he may not need to. He could also try to Hex the Archmage here and go for the kill, which, you know, could happen potentially. He did dodge a bolt there with a potion of invulnerability. He's going to Hex the Archmage, and he looks like he's going to get the kill. Level 3 on that Blade Master. Really, I feel like that was a little bit crazy by the Mr. Godot guy coming here, this Archmage, who could have gotten away from that. He could have TP'd out. It was a little bit dangerous. There was a Shadow Hunter and a Blade Master. I guess he was intending to bolt the Blade Master. Maybe he didn't check the items. Maybe he didn't know there was a potion of invulnerability there, and that he was most likely going to dodge that. But now we have two bestiaries going down. One's already down. In fact, it's making a Wind Rider. That's the second part of Proto, and there's generally two different tech paths you can go with Proto. One is air units, which is Wind Riders and Bat Riders, and eventually get Liquid Flame, and then you try to do this harass thing. The other thing is to get like Torns and Shamans and Witch Doctors, which is kind of cool. It's a big army, but it's not particularly great. We're seeing the human make a nice move here where he's just going ahead and trying to take this expansion, which is really good, because the other thing that Proto players do generally is they will, you know, when they'll leave creeping spots open for the gold mines, and then they'll get themselves a nice army, and then kind of force you to stay near your base, and then they'll take an expansion, and what they'll do before they put down the Great Halls, they'll put down like 7 towers, and then they can easily defend it if you don't get there and stop those towers from going down very much during the building phase. So that's kind of how it works, and it's interesting that that works. But obviously here, if you can take the expansion first, then you're in good spot. Now, one of the other things is that it looks like well, I'll take that back. There is another option. You can go Mass Raiders. This is, in my opinion, absolutely the worst. But maybe he's transitioning away from Proto and just straight into normal tech. He could be doing that. I mean, he's throwing down the Spirit Lodge with double Bestiary. That's a little bit, you know, crazy. You don't need 2 Bestiaries and a Spirit Lodge. You just need 1 Bestiary in the Spirit Lodge if you're doing that. But he did build at some point the Wind Rider, and I don't know quite where it is. Oh, it's in his army. Fair enough. And sometimes you can have there is a 4 Wind Rider normal standard army you can do, 4 Wind Riders, and then, you know, just a couple Raiders and a couple of Walkers, which is a decent army. But again, you don't need to have double Bestiary for it. This one Footman just doing a lot of work. I mean, the Spirit Lodge is nearly dead and it's nearly complete, so you can kind of see that's not working out too great, that he's not dealt with this in any capacity whatsoever. He could easily have sent the Wind Rider back, but you know what? He wanted to creep the fountain, so screw it. If you're going to creep the fountain, you may as well go ahead and use that extra Wind Rider DPS to kill it a little bit quicker, although he will have Ensnare done fairly soon. If he doesn't already, I think he might already have it, which could have helped his DPS on that quite significantly, so who knows? These are options, just things you can do, and it's not a big deal because it's not like the Spirit Lodge is going to die. But over here, bringing a farm down, just building a farm in a very annoying spot. If you want to put the Great Hall down now, it's pretty much going to have to go right here because he's blocked it pretty much for this area, which is good. If he puts a couple towers up just to have them up, you know, just to make sure that those peons can't walk up and just start building towers, which is what they tend to do. They usually do that unattended by a hero. That tends to be pretty nice. Dragonhawks are out at this point, and they're a pretty good counter to Wind Riders, so obviously that's going to be pretty useful. When Wind Rider or Dragonhawk has been hexed, we're going to see, obviously, Healing Wave is the second skill for the Shadow Hunter, who's also pretty much very close to level 3. In fact, there it is, picked up level 3, no problem. There is a Blade Master at level so close to level 4, but the Archmage is chilling out. He does happen to have 2 Ivory Towers on him. The Mountain King has a Potion of Healing, so just to try to keep things in nice order, we're just seeing a good bit of micro here as these low-scale unit fights are focused primarily on picking the couple of units that are actually in the fight off. This Raider, however, should be able to get away, and he might even be able to force a TP with an Ensnare here. He's going to try to do some really fancy micro with the Mountain King. What he did do is pass the Potion of Healing on over to the Archmage and pop that just to keep him alive just a bit longer. That Blade Master is just doing a lot of damage to this poor Archmage. Does he have a shop? He has a shop, but he is on Potion of Cooldown, or Potion of Healing cooldown, so he can't just pop another one just yet, but he could have popped, if he wanted to, one of those healing things. Well, actually, it looks like Potion of Cooldown, or Potion of Healing cooldown has just weared off, so you wouldn't know it because he's taken so much damage already. And the Blade Master actually is going to have a very easy time perhaps getting a kill here. One more Windwalk and he can have it, and he's going to see the TP being forced. So we're going to have now finally these Arcane Sanctums that really should have went up forever ago. I don't know why he went Griffin Avery's first. He did pop the Potion of Healing one more time, which means I think the Arcane Vault is actually out of Potions of Healings in stock, so he's not going to be able to buy one if he needs it for his Mountain King here. On the bright side for him, it looks like he's going to be doing just fine as the Blade Master has pretty much run out of spunk. He does have obviously one more Windwalk, and he's got the Windwalk that he's currently in, but he's using that just to scout around and try to figure things out. We have a couple Raiders running across the map, meeting up with this injured Raider right there, and Fortress Tech coming in, so another Raider coming out. So this is going to be just mass Raiders, it looks like. Maybe a Spirit Walker or 2 if he wants to try to attack into towers. That is actually fairly decent because Spirit Walked Raiders just decimate towers pretty well. However, I will say this, they are pretty bad versus casters. Human casters are just so good versus Orc, and you need to have pretty much the standard army, which includes Raiders, includes Spirit Walkers, but you know, you need all the good stuff. You need to have a lot of Spirit Walkers, and you're not really going to get that, I don't think, massing Raiders, because you're not going to have the resources, especially off one base, to afford it. But nonetheless, he's going to try to just pick off these casters using the Raiders, and if they're in low scale fights like this, then it can be okay. Obviously, one of the strengths of Human is when they have the big army, and they can kind of choke point you a little bit, and then it makes the melee, the wall of melee that Orc tends to have, a whole lot harder to use. Similar concept versus Elf, obviously, though Elf tends to have quite a few Dryads, which helps in positioning significantly. But nonetheless, we're seeing this from the Orc player. He's just gonna, you know, he's chilling out. He's saying, well, I'm not too worried. He's got a Coda Beast on the way as well. He would really like to do something about this. We're seeing a shop go down at this expansion for the Human player. A really good idea to do that. Always good to do that. Spirit Link has come out level 4 on the Blade Master at this point. Oh, we got the glitch. Hold on. Stupid sound glitch. I don't know what causes that. I have absolutely no idea, but it pops up every now and then, and it's a bit weird. So that farm's still just chilling out, scouting, just saying, this is what's up. You're not going to have this one without me knowing it. The Orc just giving a little bit of a scout down here to this gold mine, just trying to find out, has it been crept out? Is the Human up there hiding? Is he trying to creep it? Is he, you know, doing something crazy? Obviously, he hasn't if he was paying attention to the items, or really just even the XP. But nonetheless, you know, he could have been up here potentially creeping it, even though that would have been incredibly risky. He could have done it, so it doesn't hurt to just scout that real quick. And he's going to come up here and try to creep this right here. Putting down the watchtower first is not a bad idea because he's going to need to defend this, and every second counts. Really good. I don't know if he intended that, but very good. But that shockwave didn't hit that watchtower. Would have been quite awful. I don't think it would have canceled it, but it would have been a lot of damage that he didn't want to take, or didn't need to take, really. Once he gets to Fortress Tech, he can start his upgrade for the armor up to fortified armor on these watchtowers and burrows. Currently they're at heavy, which means they take extra damage from magic attack, and casters become quite deadly versus him. Not only casters do, but also if he ended up going to Castle Tech, then Griffin Riders would be a bit of an issue, but he's not going to Castle Tech right now. He's staying on Keep, which is pretty fun. And of course, the Human player going to go ahead and creep out his big old ramped gold mine as well. Obviously, it's a big gold mine. It's got 15k gold in it, and you can see that's quite nice in contrast with the 10k rather on these gold mines on the side. Normal gold mines have 12.5k, but on this map it's a bit strange. The extra gold that we're seeing missing on the side gold mines is added to the tops and the bottom ones, which is an interesting concept. I'm not sure that I like it. Actually, I don't like it one bit at all, because it kind of makes it so that you're trenching into one expansion right here, which you can do because there's a nice big ramp. It kind of rewards that play a little bit more than I like personally, but that's okay. I don't have a problem with it at too much. Just, you know, I don't like it as much. Nonetheless, it is kind of nice that this is the harder expansion to get to. Obviously, if this was the 10k one and then the side ones were 15k, considering how accessible the 5k ones are, or the side ones are, that would have been weird. But the Blade Master is in not too much trouble. He has a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. He has Windwalk. He's got a full bar of mana pretty much halfway through at 279 mana. Out of 465, 4 Circlets gives you a lot of intellect, as you can see, +8, bringing him up to 31 intellect. That's a lot. That's a lot of mana, too. But there you go. That's how you have it. That's how things work out. We can see the watchtowers have been upgraded, as well as the burrows. This nice little armor upgrade. We have Tauren Totem put down, so we're going to see some Taurens coming out here pretty soon. Taurens are actually okay versus casters, given that they happen to have their Stompy Stomp Log Slam Echo AoE thing upgrade, which is really good for taking down small ground units like, you know, 365 HP Sorks or 290 HP Priests. That's really good. But the thing is they're obviously big units are susceptible not only to slow, but once you start making big units like that, there's all bets are off. The human can easily tech up to Polymorph, because normally they're going to already have invisibility anyway, so it's generally only one tech off, and it's not generally worth it to do it to like Raiders, but Tauren Chieftains absolutely it is. But that's where Spirit Walkers come in, particularly if they're Master. And oh look, they're Master. 1, they can disenchant Polymorph, and 2, they can resurrect Taurens. That includes other Spirit Walkers, because as you can see right there, they are Taurens. So Spirit Walkers being Master, actually one of the best upgrades that I think is not generally used. And the thing is, it makes the Taurens, they have more life and they have more mana. And at least I'm pretty sure that it upgrades them. Yeah, it does. It increases mana pool, mana regeneration, and hit points, and obviously gives them the wonderful, absolutely wonderful ability to resurrect other Taurens, which it's a cheap upgrade to get. It's not that expensive. The biggest deal is the time impact. Because if you're banking at 50 food, and you already have 4 Spirit Walkers in your army, and they're already at level 2 or level 1 at Adept, putting them up to Master, I think is a really good idea. Because then they can that's an upgrade that can easily pay for itself if one just revives one other. I don't know the exact cost off the top of my head, but I believe just reviving even one is cost effective now. Again, I could be wrong on that, don't quote me, but definitely getting 2 would definitely be cost effective. So I like the upgrade. Obviously, if you're going Taurens, it becomes even more valuable. In fact, it becomes almost required. You almost have to have it if you're going Taurens. But that's the whole thing. Now he's going barracks as well, probably to get demolishers. He really he knows that his army that he's fighting against here is just a ground-based, caster-based army. And also, I'll say this: if you're versus Proto, which this is a very light version of Proto. Proto generally, this is the tower version, but he's trying to transition into a fighting army, which is different than what most players play Proto as. Maybe I haven't played Proto in a long time, I'll be honest. I haven't played ladder in years, but when I did play, the general strategy was always to, never engage, never fight, always bank up, and at the end of the game, you would have, if you traded really, really efficiently by, doing crazy harass and focusing on workers and buildings and never engaging, then you would always end up mining more gold than your opponent when the map was mined out, and you would always, that's how you got your advantage. Similar to cubing in Rock, if anyone ever played really old style Reign of Chaos, when people would, I say really old style, it was like 1.12, I think, when it started. I don't know exactly when cubing started, but cubing had same concept, literally mass a cube of towers, some like 5x5 or 6x6 block of towers that would be outside of like one base, and people would crazily enough just engage into it repeatedly as you did this all over the map on all these different gold mines. Eventually, I think around 1.18, 1.19 is when people really commonly started to counter it just by putting their own cube outside of your cube, which was always interesting. Well, not roughly a cube, because a cube would be bad because you'd have an Archmage with Blizzard, but they would build some towers just to kind of lock you in. Anyway, so this is a fight we're kind of missing. We're seeing the Mountain King is in a bit of trouble. He's hexed. He's going to live through the hex, but he doesn't have to pop a potion of healing. He's also got 2 scrolls of healing on the ready. He's going to have to pop one. He popped one. He's going to go down anyway. 207 damage crit, almost to take him down, and we're going to see this as a nice bit of tanking coming out of the Orc army. But nonetheless, this human is well entrenched. He has a couple of spirit spellbreakers in the front here. 3, in fact, just kind of being their funness. We're going to see this Torn in the front taking a lot of damage as well. If he does die, he's probably just going to get resurrected here. As we can see, there are still 2 Spirit Walkers quite alive. One of the big problems with Resurrect, I don't know how much off the top of my head how much mana it costs, but it generally is quite an expensive spell, which is the one problem. It limits how many disenchants and spirit links you can do. I think that's probably why people don't get it, is just because of how mana intensive it is, and by the end of the fight, when you're probably going to be most likely wanting to use it, you probably won't have the mana to. So that's probably really why people don't get it, but nonetheless, it's still cool. And anyway, the human player here is playing quite well. He is just kind of holding on. He's losing units, yes, but he's holding on. As long as he doesn't lose his Archmage here, popping that Potion of Blessed Invulnerability, a good call, because he cannot afford to get hexed and died here. Although he doesn't really have to worry about that too much, because the Shadow Hunter doesn't have enough mana for the hex, and I think he's very much afraid of the hex. I don't think he's checked the mana on the Shadow Hunter. He's going to feel quite silly when he does, because he needs, I believe, 70 mana to actually get that hex off. And the Orc player, though, has the fight now once again in a kind of bad spot. This Kodabeast being not blocked a little bit here by this peasant. He probably wanted to go for that Spellbreaker. He's going to go around, going to go for that Spellbreaker instead, forcing the Blade Master away. Always a good call. He's very low on life at this point, but he does happen to have a Windwalk, and he's got mana for another one, so that's always a concern. He might just come back in for a pot shot. But this Kodabeast looks like he's in a bit of trouble here. He doesn't actually have a slow cast on it, but he should be able to get one. These guys are much faster than this Kodabeast is. All he has to do is just come up in range and just cast slow, and then he can easily kill it. We're seeing a bunch of towers kind of trying to come up here. Slow has been cast, I think. Maybe no? I don't know. It was disenchanted, though. The Blade Master just once again kind of in the front line. He doesn't really care that he's low on HP. He's not too low on mana. Here comes the Bolt. Oh, did it kill him? How did he even... I don't even know how he saw him, to be honest. What? Fair enough. Well, the Mountain King hit the bolt. I thought the Blade Master went Windwalk, but if he did, that bolt hit just... Oh, right. Duh, there's a bunch of True Sight towers right here. That's how he hit him. I was like, I swear I saw him go Windwalk. He did go Windwalk, but he was still within range of the True Sight. So the bolt, in fact, landed. The Blade Master, in fact, died. And the Blade Master has now been revived at the tavern. This over here, Kodabeast, still giving vision, still very low on life. There's a Tomb of Agility right there. That I'm kind of surprised no one... That's the one tomb that I think is really inexcusable. If you have a Blade Master, you should always pick that up, because holy crap, you set your TP at the start of the game for Circle, you may as well pick up those things. They're very good for you. But he probably just didn't see it, so fair enough. Anyway, so the human player is doing quite well. I mean, he's got this right side base, he's got the bottom base, he's just now picking up the left side base. The main gold mines have mined out at this point. The Orc is on 1 base income, and we can see that the Orc is sitting at 68 out of 70 food, whereas the human is sitting at 74 out of 84. With decent banks on either side, really. Not really. The human player doesn't have a bank, so to speak of, but he does happen to have 3 gold mines, so I mean, really, that's pretty much a bank. The Orc, however, is sitting at about 650 gold, 100 wood. He's clearly limited by wood, but that's temporary as he put all those 5 peons right onto wood, and he's going to start having quite a bit of wood here quite soon, in fact. And we're going to have more Torrens on the way. Do we have any upgrades? We do happen to have 3 Demolishers out, which are going to be very good versus... They're okay versus towers, but they're very good versus the casters. The Torrens. No upgrades on those. Mortar Team out as well. Spellbreakers with no upgrades as well. So we're just not really seeing anybody too interested in upgrades other than, Adept on your Sorceresses, the Burning Oil on your Demolisher, and Master on your Spirit Walkers, which is all around a bit odd, but fair enough. It's reasonable to get those. We're going to see the Mortar Team going to get ensnared, going to be focused down. We have another caster. Sork here ensnared, Mortar Team here ensnared. And if these Demolishers are focusing the ensnared units, pretty good. Or just focus the middle of a big pack of units and do a lot of damage that way. This is not going well for the human in the slightest at all. You can see the Orc is down to 59 food. The human is sitting at 70, but I mean, how much of that is tied up in militia or peasants? I don't know. He is getting Knights, trying to switch up into a different tech here to deal with this. Knights obviously are okay, but if we start to see mass Knights, then we'll see Torn switch probably from the Orc, which is good. But who knows? Knights are good for the moment. We're going to see another more team go down. This Blade Master a little bit out of control, hitting 256, 244 on the crits. Just slaying dudes. This Torn, really, he's trying very hard to kill. He's going to bolt it down. Level 6 being picked up by the Blade Master. Are we going to see a Spirit Walker? There's not really any Spirit Walkers nearby to revive him. Knight's going to get taken down, 284 crit, 260 on the Archmage. Rest in peace, Sorceress, as the Blade Master just tears his way through the entire caster army that this human has. 256. Paladin is out the... Oh, that's painful. You could say he was just about to Holy Light that Mountain King, but he got critted down. And the Paladin not going to live whatsoever versus Blade Master. Not happening. We do happen to have the big old AoE slam from the Touring upgrade. It's been researched. Sorry. Throat. But this is really going poorly for the human player. However, the Orc is going to TP out because he just wants to save his units here that are slowed, that won't really make it away by running without way of a speed scroll. We do happen to have these here Demolishers. The peons are trying to revive it. This Town Hall taking a good bit of damage, actually. I'm surprised he didn't just go straight for the peons because, honestly, I don't think he's going to get this Town Hall, but he could have easily killed all of those peons, or at least forced them to move around, micro a bit. One Demolisher will go down. A second Demolisher on its way to being chased. It's being chased down. This is Blade Master. He has a healing salve. He's going to get that canceled. And he is just going to wreck this Knight. I mean, holy crap. That Blade Master completely out of control. The human player currently not really having an answer to it. Massing more Sorks. Sorks are they're okay, but they're really not handling this Blade Master at all. He needs to get... I'm surprised he doesn't have Dispel, frankly, because his damage output's really bad without Dispel. The Spirit Link is really wrecking him, as well as these 268 damage crits from this Blade Master, who is just on some sort of steroids. I mean, you can tell. There, look at his arms. Just look at him. That's the arms of someone on steroids. But he's just running. The human player just keeps kiting. The human player still has more income. We're going to see a watchtower going down here by the Orc, bringing another peon back in just to start smacking and racking the Town Hall. And we're going to see all these nice little peasants try to keep it alive. One more repair might help, but it's really not going to keep it alive. This is going to go down. And now all of those peasants are going to be just food, munchkin food for the Shadow Hunter, who's also level 6, the Blade Master level 6. Just see how many levels can we pick up? And the answer is, who knows? But they're just going to keep on getting XP. And the good old Orc player saying, well, I want a second gold mine. And so he's going to try to take this one down for himself. We do finally have a nice air switch to Griffin Riders. Now, this is good. This is good. It's a good switch. It's a good time to switch, as we can look at the human player. Well, he's sitting at 75 food. Actually, that's not great. He needs to have, you know, maybe 6 to 8 of these Griffin Riders if he really wants to have a chance, and I think, in this fight. The Orc player is sitting at 62 food with an army that is largely not very good at dealing with Griffin Riders. So if the human player can keep making them, you know, before the Orc player really realizes he needs to start countering those, that'll be good. The one problem is, really, he does happen to have the Blade Master, the level 6 Blade Master, with an orb with plus 22 damage, who's critting for nearly 300 on every one of those crits. That's the problem, because if that Blade Master says, you know what, there's only 2 Griffin Riders, I can just right-click them. There's really not going to be much you can do to keep those Griffin Riders alive, especially if they're getting ensnared like this, and you're fighting in tower range, which you're going to have to decide to do. He ran away. I don't know why he would run away and then run back in, but he has done that. Paladin, very low on life, gonna get just, gonna have a nice save right there with the invisibility. These Thorns are, however, quite on crack at this point. We're gonna see some really good disenchants to deal with the slows, but some more Spirit Links potentially coming out, I would assume, at some point. Maybe he's got the mana for it. He's gonna do it, maybe, just another disenchant. Well, who knows? But we're gonna keep seeing this fight happen as this Blade Master picks up level 7. One tower finally gonna go down. There's still one tower left, the Mountain King at level 4. And the human player forced to retreat. That Griffin Rider, unfortunately, going to get purged by the unholy orb of lightning. It's an unholy orb of lightning. That's right. And this gold mine has now officially ceased to exist. So the human player has about 8k gold left in his current gold mine at the bottom, and there's about 8k gold left in the left side one that currently no one really has. It's in contestation. The Orc is trying very desperately to get it with about 8k gold in the upper gold mine. So really, if the Orc is able to control this gold mine, then he'll have the bank economy advantage, which the human player had for the entire game. And is probably quite unhappy. But the problem is that he didn't really play to counter his opponent's army so far into the game. Going just mass cast through when your opponent is just wrecking it is not good. You need to switch it up. Or you need to take better fights. And really, there was probably, in my opinion, no reason not to just have a whole bunch of towers. But you know, fair enough. This Griffin Rider is so dead. It's been hexed. It needs to try to get over the trees, but one Purge will take it down, and that's all it takes. It seems like Purge procs quite a lot more often on air units. I don't know if that's true, but pretty much every single time I've ever seen a Blade Master in any game ever attacking air units, it's always Purged in like 2 or 3 hits, which could be totally coincidence. I don't know, but yeah. I don't trust air units anywhere near a Blade Master with an orb. Not anywhere at all. So yeah, the Orc, though, he's doing really well at this point. I don't know. I don't think his army really was countering the human's army, but I think the way the human was playing with his army was way too risky, and he wasn't really keeping his position as good as he needed to keep it. So he was losing a lot of units sloppily, and also that's really not good. You need to have, like I said, we've talked about it before, but you need to have some kind of choke points. You need to keep, because the Orc has a ton of melee units. You know, they're trying to run in. They have ensnare, so you have to have that position going into the fight. If you don't have that position, and the human has not had that position going into any of the fights, really, what you see is just a bunch of your units getting snared, and then you start to run away, and you're like, oh crap, I really can't afford to just give away all those units for free. And then he kind of goes back into the fight, loses more units, loses the fight really badly, and it's a bad cycle that repeats. But if you happen to have a good position going into the fight, then you're generally fine. Having this clumped up when you know there was a level 7 Blade Master, not really a good idea, but there you go. He could maybe get the kill on this. Not going to happen. He just wind walks away. He doesn't care. And he had the Potion of Lesser Invulnerability if he needed it, but he was able to get that in the wind walk dodge on the bolt, so he was fine. But again, we did see one fight. I will say there was one fight, to the human's credit, in his base about middle of the game where he fought and he won pretty well. He had his units in good spots. He did needlessly TP over here, but fair enough. This could have been built a little bit better as well. This is a really wide space opening here. If that was a bit tighter, that would have been nicer, and maybe a Griffin Aviary here, and then maybe a farm or something there. I don't know. Something to create choke points for him. He could have, you know, defended his base a lot easier, and also we could have seen the same thing over here at the base builds. This obviously is not a great base build for him to be fighting against the Orc. These are nice, but you want the choke points generally to be too wide. At least, you know, 2 to 4 is generally pretty okay. 1 to 2 units. 1 to 2 units is a good rule of thumb, because you want to have the ability. If you have 2 units wide, then you can get more units through. They can obviously get more units through, but you're choke pointing them to 2 units. They can't put 4 through, you know, because you're going to hold that position. And obviously, you want to have positions to fall back to. Again, this build suffers from the same problems, and he had just not a great build here either for defending with the army he has versus the army he was facing. So I would say a lot of his struggles in this game have been that he didn't build his bases to his army to really, you know, to the best of his army's advantage versus what he's playing. But really, you know, now he's just kind of holed up, and he's going to just kind of go into mass Griffin Rider production, which isn't going to really help him because his opponent's making bats now. And the way Griffin Riders work versus bats is that they have max armor and generally a scroll of protection and staffs to try to keep them alive when they do get low. And it's very micro intensive, and that's the way that strategy works. Otherwise, bats just wreck it, and so that's probably what we're gonna see happen. He's not gonna have enough time to really make enough Griffin Riders either. There's already a ton of bats out. Bats are very quick at making, and the Orc is in no problem. He does not have to rush into a fight here. He doesn't have to do anything. He has the advantage. He has the economy bank. You know, he's got 5 plus whatever is in here. So he's got like 11k gold, and he's going to attack. I don't think he needs to, but he's going to attack. He doesn't. He really doesn't need to. But I guess he doesn't want to wait this out. And the human player looked like he was kind of entrenching himself in. So I guess you may as well go ahead and attack if you want to. But he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to go straight crazy into this. The human player just going to back off one more time. The orc at 78 food, the human at 71. You can see another sort go down. I mean, that's really been the gist of this game too, is that the orc keeps being able to get these free pickoffs, and it just really, even though the human player had so much more gold and money, he just was throwing away so much stuff. It was just really unfortunate. But level 6 is on the Archmage, so he could and probably should be at this point utilizing mass teleport. Really, he's not going to beat this army. Not at all, but he could be mass teleporting around and just outmaneuvering this army, because this is a very slow army from this orc. I mean, it's incredibly slow. It's a siege army. It's, it's a very slow moving army with Tauren chieftains, Coda Beast, and Demolishers. But the fight is engaging, it's raging, and the human is just getting completely slaughtered. The orc down to 62 food, the human down to 57. Actually, it looks like really the orc lost more supply there. I think it was mostly just in Bat Riders though, which he doesn't really care too much about. The Bat Riders, those are meant to suicide. But nonetheless, actually the human player backing out here, he's actually taking a decent engage. I mean, the Tauren Spirit Walkers are pretty much gone. There's only one alive, and I don't think he has enough mana for a revive. However, you're still gonna have to deal with all of these, this threat, I can't get it at the Blade Master. You have to deal with this Blade Master who's just gonna really, I'm surprised he's just sitting in Windwalk. What is he doing? Well, the orc TP. I don't even know how the orc lost that fight. At 41, 39, 37 food supply on the orc versus 55. The human actually significantly won that. I don't even you know what? All bets are off. I have no idea. I don't know how the human won that fight. But he did. So good on him. I guess Griffin Riders and the bats just didn't kill the Griffin Rider. I don't even know what happened to the bats. Well, wow. I sometimes am dumbfounded, and this is one of them. The human should be in a good spot. He just won a really, he just destroyed that fight, and his opponent looks like he's making more bats. Wind Riders with poison. That's a pretty decent way to deal with the Griffin Riders as well, as they are semi-heavy air, they're medium-heavy air. They have 825 life. The poison damage from Wind Riders stacks, so it's pretty good versus targets with high life, such as 825 life. So that's going to pretty much depend on whether or not the human player takes good engages. However, he does have level 3 water elementals, which are exceedingly good versus Wind Riders. So we'll see. Focus on the Shadow Hunter. Not a bad decision. If you can force him out of the fight with a TP, that is wonderful. I don't know if we're going to see that happen here. The Blade Master just popped off a wonderful Blade Fury, but it looks like that is a little bit unfortunate. We're going to see a Tauren Chieftain Tauren Warrior, whatever you call him, go down. Just go Tauren go down. Yeah. And the human player with these Griffin Riders is actually doing pretty good. As long as he keeps Griffin Riders out, he's probably going to be fine. Obviously, this gold mine still has 3,000 gold left in it, which is decent. We're gonna see one Griffin Rider gonna go down. A second one being focused on. Yeah, once these guys start getting focused though, that's good game. And well, okay, well there you go. GG called by the human player. So the orc's gonna take the game. I don't even know what happened in the last 5 minutes of that game. I am just astounded that it went out like that, but that can happen. Let's look at these stats real quick. Units killed 130 for the orc compared to 64 for the human player. That is quite significant. I mean, the orc produced 67 units and the human killed 64 units, and the orc still won. I'll leave that to your judgment. But anyway, it is now 2:23 my time in the morning. It's quite early. The orc killed 5 heroes. That's a lot. So you can see the experience gain difference here is massive. 7,000 versus under 4,000. And the gold mine, which again is a massive advantage for the human player, sitting at 29k versus 23.5k. There you go. There you go. But what a game. That was big thanks to replayers.com for doing the replay of the week still. That's been ongoing for years and years and years. Even back when I was working there in 2007, they had been doing replay of the week for a long time prior to me getting there. So big shout out. Love the website. Check them out if you want to see them. Obviously, I'm happy to do the cast. It was fun. It's kind of late, kind of different. Let me know if you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was kind of a fun replay. Always good to see something a little bit different from the usual Chinese metagame at the time. Anyway, so that's it for tonight. I'm going to go ahead and go to bed now because I'm tired and I have to be up early. So I will see you all. Thanks for watching, and as always, goodbye!